Good evening. Welcome to America's Heroes Group Roundtable live stream digital media show. I'm your host, U.S. Army Combat Medic and Flight Surgeon Colonel Dr. Damon Arnold, U.S. Army National Guard retired. And I have a very special guest. I am honored and pleased to be able to introduce her tonight. But this is a VFW Post 311 Commander Aretha Spurlock. Sergeant Aretha Spurlock served honorably in the U.S. Army for 20 years. From 1991 to 1994, she served as the Equal Opportunity Representative in the United States Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Disease. Aretha earned a BA in Healthcare Management and couldn't stop there. She had to go back and get her Master's of Business Administration and then followed it up with another master's degree in Procurement and Contract Management. Commander Spurlock is currently employed as a lead contract specialist with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Aretha is a proud member of New Faith Baptist Church International, where she has served on the women's ministry and the Daughters of Judah. Aretha joined the Benjamin O. Davis VFW Post 311 in Richton Park, Illinois in 2012. She became the Quartermaster in 2015. And in 2022 became the post and the district's first African-American female commander. Yay! As the commander, she had led the organization honorably and helped the post to achieve the VFW recognition status of all state and all American. Today, we're going to talk to Aretha about what it means to be in this position, why the VFW matters, and talking about, a little bit about the history of Benjamin O. Davis. He was born in 1877, but he was a Civil War general. John Logan was a person, he was the son of a servant. And actually, he had gone to Howard University in 1897. I had to put that plug in for my alma mater. But going on forward, how are you doing, Aretha?
I'm fine, thank you. So I just want to make a point that the VFW, the name of the post, Benjamin O. Davis, VFW Post 11, is actually not just for the father. It actually, we recognize both the father and the son. So that's why the post is not really distinguished between junior or senior.
Yes, very good. And that was what an incredible thing. We had two historic generals that it took him 42 years of service to become a general. I can't even imagine going 42 years before getting that honor in 1940. But,
and can you imagine, there was one period of time I found so interesting. There was one period of time in their lives where they were the only two African American officers at one point. Very interesting.
Just amazing. So tell me more about the VFW and your perspective on it and what it means to command a post, a VFW post, why it's important for people to look at it from the community and veterans.
Well, you know what? So ironic you asked this question today, because I was just speaking with one of my coworkers earlier, and she was expressing to me talking about some of the questions she had about her benefits. And I asked her, after speaking with her for a little while, and I asked her, I said, are you associated with a veterans organization? And she said that she was, but she wasn't really as active as she had been in some years ago. And so I pointed out to her that, being attached to a veterans organization is a great resource, right? Some people feel like, some of the veterans organizations are, an opportunity to just have fun or just go to hang out or to the bar. And I'm not saying that we don't at Post 11. We play, but we work hard as well, right? But what it also does is provide an opportunity to network with other veterans and have some of the questions that might be sitting with you about, what it is to be a veteran, what it is to questions about your benefits, questions about educational benefits for your dependents, because 9 times out of 10, whatever question you have, someone in that organization has gone through it and experienced it as well. or can be the point of resource for you to help you get what you need done. So I
Mhm.
think it's very important to be attached to a veteran organization.
Yeah, yeah, and especially now because we have about 30% of the federal workforce are veterans. We know that many jobs are being cut right now.
Mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
we know we have the tariffs that went in today. That potentially could increase pricing. For many
Right.
of the items that we have, our cars,
Mm-hmm,
food,
mm-hmm,
and we still have, which is despicable. We still have veterans who are living on the streets right now.
mm-hmm.
This is going to be, it can be a very, very difficult time for veterans to, to face and confront. And that VFW organizations, the American Legion, these organizations are fighting for your rights,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really more important than ever that veterans join these organizations and form a consolidated voice, to speak to
Right.
the powers that be. We're facing some very difficult times potentially coming down the road. But because you're with the Department of Veterans Affairs, but what are some of the things that some of the benefits that the VA offers to people who are in the veteran community?
Well, I can't really speak to the VA as whole, right?
Yeah, right.
Um,
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
speak to what I see.
Yes.
And for those that are experiencing homelessness or near homeless in their life, there are opportunities to speak with those that are within the VA facilities, and also in outlying communities as well. They have representatives to help find some sort of living assistance, whether it be temporary or permanent, for veterans that are either near or experiencing homeless situations. Right now, uh,
Mhm.
I have not been impacted negatively uh,
Mhm.
by the impending um, firings. I don't know a
Right,
nice
right.
way to
Yeah,
say it.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
I cannot imagine that there's not going to be some sort of an impact to us as veterans, when half or a third of the workforce is being is going to be terminated. I just cannot even imagine. I would have never imagined this in my lifetime. So I don't know. I just cannot conceive how things will be. But
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
it's like you said, it's heartbreaking to know that you sacrificed, you served, and it just feels like you're just not being considered enough.
Yeah, and one of the things that really gets to me, Aretha, is that a lot of these veterans, like I said, this is about 30% is being reported of the federal workforce as veterans, and many of those people are became federal workers because they felt like they wanted to give something back to the country.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
not that, but many of them actually had severe injuries, lost a leg,
Mhm.
lost an
Mhm.
arm, had to go through rehabilitation, and didn't want
Mhm.
to lay down and ask for a handout. So they
Right.
actually went to rehab services, got themselves
Mhm.
to the point where they could actually become employed to do
Right.
something for the
Right.
country.
Right. With Voc Rehab. Mhm.
Right. And then you end up being thrown out,
Mhm.
dismissed, and for no cause, because they say, well, I remember seeing a couple of interviews on on television and that kind of thing on different shows, but where the veteran said, well, my rating was like outstanding, and they just sent me a slip that said I'm being let go because of performance.
Mhm. Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
and this arbitrary thing that's happening. I mean, I think veterans really need to be keen of this because we say in the battlefield, leave no veteran behind. We cannot leave our veterans behind in this
Mhm.
turmoil.
Right.
And yeah.
And you make a great point. I mean, and there are quite a few veterans that work with me in my department, and we're every time I go in, we're talking to each other about the things that we're facing in this current situation. But it's like you said, each one of these veteran organizations has a certain piece or arm within the organization that goes out and lobbies, right? So it is really important to know what's going on, what legislation is being brought to the floor. When do we need to get our voices out there to our representatives or senators so they can get out there and vote how we need them or how we want them to vote. So it is really important.
Yes, yes, yes. And they really have to have an understanding of, um, we are, veterans, we're one family. So, irrespective of your race, your
Hmm.
gender, it doesn't make a
Hmm.
difference, right?
Right.
You are a veteran, and we have got to fight for the body whole.
Hmm.
And we have many. We have I think it's 19 districts in Illinois,
Hmm.
um, and we have the annual convention coming up in June. But
Hmm.
we need to have a concerted voice, and people and legislators need to know we're not here for a photo op. To
Hmm.
stand
Hmm.
next to you when you need someone who served because you didn't.
Right.
To,
Right.
to push your campaign forward.
Hmm.
And I was speaking to another person in another interview, and they were mentioning that, that there is no duty not to lie when you're in the congressional body, and it had to do with one of the clauses in the Constitution. And the president can't lie, supposedly the, the Supreme Court can't lie, but congressional members are not held to the same standard. So when you make a promise to a veteran, you better be keeping it. And if you say that you're supporting veterans, you better support them.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
many of the legislative things that have come through lately have been knocked down, like the extension of the PAC Act and those
Hmm.
kinds of things that we need to be paying attention to, and making sure that veterans are deeply supported.
Hmm.
Um, but one thing is I'm really interested in how you feel the educational component of it. I remember when I was in, back in the day, back in the ancient times when I was like just to join the military, and,
Hmm.
and then I assumed a little command position for medical,
Hmm.
and people would come in and I would sit them down and I would say, "Well, I see your name, is Private Smith, and I say before that, before I ask you anything else, tell me what it is you're going to go to school for." And they go like,
Hmm.
"What school? What are you talking
Hmm.
about?" And I said, "Yeah, you have to go to school." And they said, "Why do I have to go to school to join this unit?" And I said, "The reason is because I don't want anyone stupid enough to pass up on an economic windfall for
Hmm.
education and not have a
Hmm.
future. That means you have no future. I don't want you next to me on the front line because you have nothing to live for." Right? So I don't want to be going down that road. But you went back. Not only did you get your BA, but you actually got an MBA and a procurement and contract management masters.
Hmm.
So what made you do that, and how did that impact your career? As a leader.
It's so funny you asked that question because I'm facing the same situation.
Hmm.
So when I had my MBA, when I achieved the MBA, I was actually recently, well, maybe 3 years retired since post retirement from the Army, and I was working with one of the major manufacturers, and I was a government sales specialist. And it was 2008, and the market crashed,
Yes.
and thousands of people were laid off. Right, thousands of people were laid off, and
Wow.
I was one of them. And at the time, I had 2 years of civilian work experience and a master's. And and at the time, with thousands of people being laid off, I was in competition for jobs with people that had an MBA and many years of work experience.
Mm.
And so I was not competitive, right, in that environment. So
Mm.
I went back to school
Mm.
to make myself more competitive. And so So now it's so funny because I say, well, at this point, if I get laid off again, I'm I'm better off now than
Oh,
I
you
had
are.
time. So I have that working for me. So
Yeah. Oh,
hopefully it doesn't happen, but who knows? But I feel like I'm more competitive now than I was last time. It's so strange because I would have never thought, when you achieve the status of a government worker or government employee, you think there's some status, some protection that's been achieved. And for me, that was what I was seeking, considering, how I was laid off. And of course, after being, in the army for 20 years and being laid off after two, that was a
mhm.
little unsettling for me.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I wanted to go somewhere where I thought that there was some security with the federal government. And here I am,
Well, see, that's a
waiting
very
waiting to see if my name is going to be on a list.
no, but one thing though is that that's a very very powerful story, because we had spoken before about this, about taking things off the website for historical purposes and all that, and you can take things off the website, but you can't erase the history. That's the
Hmm.
blood and the cobblestones that people marched on, right? Um,
Hmm.
but you can't also take away someone's education. And
Hmm.
so if you aspire to that level, so I mean, you are a perfect role model for what people need to be thinking about right now, who are in that situation. They've already been laid off, and
Hmm.
what's the next step? Because you do have the GI Bill, so
Hmm.
people can actually go back and get degrees. They can
Hmm.
re-engineer their life and their work experience,
Hmm.
and move forward, make themselves more um, saleable within the market,
Right.
the business market system. So
Right.
that's a very powerful story. I wish you'd write an article or something like that, and and have it published about that, because that is what these veterans need to hear right now. The ones that are have already been
Hmm.
let go.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know how the services in the VA are going to be impacted. So I would say, to all of those that, have recently, been let go, go seek assistance with Voc Rehab, as soon as possible, because we don't know if Voc Rehab will be available to us tomorrow or next year.
Oh boy.
So,
Yeah.
we don't know.
That's a very important point. Yeah. And then, also, you got your MBA as well. So there is an entrepreneurial spirit that you're probably, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And, veterans are out there. I know at the Post, you're always getting business things lined up
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
getting things, moving in the right direction. So, what about that? The business arena, veterans also have the opportunity to start up jobs, start businesses on their own too.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with people doing that, or what's out there.
Well, it's here's what I do know, and for those that I spoke to previously about,
Mhm.
those that wanted to get into business with the government, right? Yes,
Right.
there are some agencies that are closing. Yes, we know that, but the government is still a government body, and they still have to function. And so, the president signed an executive order recently indicating that GSA will be the primary source for procurement of products and services. And so there was a lot of people um, that was concerned about whether or not they were going to be able to do business with the government, what's going to happen to their contract, because yes, we did hear that some contracts were canceled, right? Um, but if they're saying that GSA is a primary source, going to be the primary source for procurement, then there is an opportunity for those that are in business for themselves and offering a product or service. I would say absolutely check the GSA website and see if there is something that matches what they're doing or offering.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And then, I mentioned before that VFW Post 311 is in Richton Park, but it's right at Governor's Highway and Sauk Trail Road. You
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
miss it if you have that intersection. Is right there in the
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the southeast corner of that
Yes.
intersection. It's right next to a
Mhm.
Dunkin' Donut for those people who love Dunkin' Donuts like I do. I'm not a Starbucks person.
Right around the corner,
Right
across the
around the
street from the
corner.
post office.
The post office. But it has events there all the time for veterans.
Hmm.
I really highly recommend you join the Post, and make yourself available to it. They also they are veterans, so they they do accept some donations and things like that towards veterans.
Hmm.
They take care of veterans. They have stand downs where homeless veterans are fed and given supplies and those sorts of things every year.
Hmm.
And then have events throughout the year. They have a bingo night, and also there is a bar there as well, game room. So there's also a veteran service officer there, and Comrade Johnson does an incredible job, taking care of people.
Hmm.
And we have people coming through that really are family. And if you are a veteran, you will feel like you're part of a family.
Right.
I really advise you to really get involved with the veterans organization. But maybe you can talk more about the organization itself and how it makes you feel, because you became,
Sure.
went from quartermaster to commander.
Mm,
So
yeah.
so what's that experience like?
Well, one of the things I'll just speak to my even joining the Post.
Mhm,
One of the things that attracted me to VFW Post 11 was the services that they provided to the community.
mhm,
That is what attracted me. It wasn't just a bar.
mhm,
Yes, we have karaoke on Monday, we have Queen of Hearts on Monday, we have stepping classes on Tuesday, bingo on Wednesday. We offer VSO benefit services second Wednesday of every month. We have Bidwest on Fridays. We have events, right? We have
mhm.
the Christmas toy giveaway for
and,
children.
and the steppers training
Right, step classes on
events.
Tuesdays, that's correct. Uh, we do offer scholarships to high school seniors every year. There's
Mhm,
also other scholarship opportunities for not just high school students, but also those that are in middle school. Um, and there are things going on for fun and for serious situations, like, you know what I mean, to support the community. And that is what drew me to join the Post. And so there was this transition that occurred. I was a quartermaster for 5 years.
mhm, mhm,
um and came took a break for a minute, and it was involved with my job,
mhm, mhm.
and then came back.
Yeah.
And things were, I guess it was the nature of the environment or the nature of the market. I have no idea, but it was changing, and I was asked to run for commander, um, and so I did.
Yeah.
And here we are 3 years later, and I'm still doing it. and and it's been absolutely rewarding. It's yeah, I work. I take it very seriously. I
Yeah.
take the responsibility very serious. Um, it's not just about what I am doing for the Post, is what the Post actually gives me.
Mhm,
Um, so I feel like it's a win-win situation. It's there are days when I leave and I feel absolutely fulfilled,
yeah.
um, for what the Post is doing for me. And so I have no problems giving back. This past weekend, we had two events, one for women veteran leaders and one for just women, to honor and
Mm,
recognize women during the Women's History Month.
yeah.
We do things like that. Last year, we had a day for men to recognize the men during the Father's Day month.
I remember that.
So
That was good.
you remember that?
Yep.
um, and so, I really appreciate my Post. I appreciate what my Post members are doing. I
Mhm,
appreciate what we're all doing for the community. And so, and like you said, Charles is there, on most days. He's a VFW service representative. He's there on most days to help anyone with their benefits, answer questions, file them, follow up on their claims. And all they have to do is call the post to get an appointment with him. And we are fortunate to have a great group of members to supplement what Charles is doing by offering those benefit services that second Wednesday of every month. So it's no appointment necessary. Anyone can walk in, whether we're talking about the veteran, family member, dependent, because we know that once a veteran is 100%, those benefits also will extend to the family members. And so that they can come in and get questions answered about what benefits may be available to them, what resources are available to them, whether they're 100% or 10%. We're there. We're there to help. And I'm speaking about my VFW, but I would say if you don't have a VFW near you, there's plenty of veteran organizations out there. Get involved with any one of them. Get involved with multiple, because you don't have to have membership to just one. A person can have many memberships to multiple veteran organizations. The more we spread ourselves out to be of service to each other and to the community, the better.
Yeah, because and I'm going to ask you to give the website too, for people who are interested, so they can actually go on the website, to look at the Post website.
Well, I would, the unfortunate, one of the things that I will say is we had a lifetime member, Comrade Ralph Jenkins, who was managing our website. And we are still having some little challenges of getting that service transition to the people who we are now trying to get to manage that website. We don't want to we're trying not to have to create a whole new website. But when it is up, it is www.vfwposter11.com.
And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic website. I've looked at it many times, and maybe give the address of the location too for the Post.
Sure. The address to the Post is 22341 Governor's Highway. Again, 22341 Governor's Highway. We welcome all. We welcome, come out and see us, visit with us, hang out. And if you like, come again and come often, and then join.
Okay, I knew we'd run out of time.
And yes, we do accept donations.
Yes, we do accept donations. And and the thing is that the donations not only help veterans, but their families. We have Gold Star families where someone was killed in service and their family is left behind, their children. So that Post actually is helping the entire veteran community and their families. Make sure you make your donations and help them out. Okay,
thank you
so much, Commander Spurlock.
Thank you.